Welcome to Life Stories, where real voices share moments that changed everything. Today's story is about family, identity, and the quiet strength it takes to walk away when you've been taken for granted for far too long. It's a journey of heartbreak, self-discovery, and learning to choose yourself even when it means leaving everything behind. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, this one's for you. Subscribe to Life Stories to hear more powerful, honest moments like this. And now, let's begin today's story. It was meant to be a celebration. A warm June evening, string lights swaying between the trees, the air thick with the scent of grilled meat and blooming flowers. My parents, Ron and Karen, were celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary, and the whole family had gathered in our backyard in small-town Missouri. It looked like something out of a magazine spread. Laughter, kids darting between folding chairs, paper lanterns glowing softly overhead. I was at the grill, my apron splattered with grease, flipping burgers for the third time that evening. I'd been up since dawn hauling tables, stringing lights, running last-minute errands because, well, that's who I was in the family. Ben, the eldest, the responsible one. The one who always picked up the slack. My younger siblings Brian, Melissa, and Josh lounged nearby, drinks in hand, chatting with their spouses while their children tore around the yard. I didn't mind, not really. I'd grown used to it. This was the role I played. Still, there was something about the evening, some flicker of hope, perhaps, that made me think maybe this time I'd feel like part of it. Like someone would say, "Hey Ben, sit down. We've got this." That didn't happen. The real sting came after dinner. Everyone had gathered around the table, dessert plates clinking, when my dad stood up, holding a bottle of beer like he was about to make a royal decree. My mother leaned into him, all smiles, and the crowd hushed. "We've got an announcement," Dad said, voice rough and worn from decades of barking orders. "Next week, we're taking the whole family to Hawaii." There were gasps, cheers, applause. Melissa squealed. Brian hooped. The kids erupted in a frenzy about surfing and volcanoes. Even I felt a swell of excitement. Hawaii, an actual vacation. Sun and sand. Something different. Something good. I wiped my hands and stepped closer to the group, smiling. "That sounds amazing," I said. "What time's the departure?" Dad didn't even pause. He turned toward me, and his voice, sharp and dismissive, cut through the cheer. "You don't need to know. You're not part of us. You are staying behind to watch the kids." Just like that, in front of everyone. The laughter died in my throat. M.O.M. chuckled, waved it off like it was a joke, but her eyes didn't soften. No one defended me. Not Brian, not Melissa, not even Josh, who used to cling to my leg as a kid. I looked around at the faces I knew so well, and they all looked away. No one wanted to meet my gaze. It was like the floor gave way beneath me. My chest tightened. Years of being their handyman, their babysitter, their safety net, all of it collapsed under those few words. "You're not part of us." I had given up university to help pay the bills when Dad got laid off. I built their garage with my bare hands, paid for Brian's car repair, watched their children every weekend, and now I was just the help. I didn't say a word. I walked to the porch, grabbed my jacket, and left. Melissa called after me, "Ben, are you okay?" But I didn't look back. The screen door banged shut behind me, and that sound, that hollow thud, felt like the end of something. I drove back to my apartment, a cramped one-bedroom filled with remnants of my family, a toolbox I'd used to fix Dad's roof, a toy fire truck one of Josh's kids had left behind. I sat on the couch, staring at nothing, the anger coming fast and sharp, but beneath the rage was something deeper, a sorrow I couldn't shake. I devoted my whole adult life to them, and all I'd ever been was convenient. That night, I didn't sleep. I packed a duffel bag with jeans, a few shirts, my old work boots. No destination in mind, just motion. I pulled my savings from the kitchen drawer, tips and overtime pay, barely enough, and booked a one-way bus ticket to a coastal town I'd once passed through in Oregon. I remembered it being quiet, windswept free. At a.m., before the sun rose, I locked the door behind me. My chest ached, like I was doing something wrong, like I was betraying them. But I kept walking. and for the first time in years, I felt awake. The bus hummed beneath me, a low, steady rhythm as we wound along the coastline. I sat by the window, watching the town I'd always called home dissolve into silhouettes, gas stations, worn-out diners, the corner store where I used to buy gum as a kid. It all faded into the mist. The farther we drove, the lighter I felt. Not happy, not yet, but something like weightlessness. There was no plan, no itinerary, just me and a duffel bag full of clothes and memories I didn't want to carry anymore. I arrived in Astoria, Oregon, an old fishing town with rusted docks, salty air, and a charm that hadn't been polished for tourists. I found a room above a bar on the edge of town. It was barely more than a closet with a bed and a single window that looked out over a fire escape. But the landlord didn't ask questions. He took my cash, handed me a key, and that was that. The next morning, I walked the streets looking for work. My savings wouldn't last long, and I wasn't about to call home. I stopped at a dockside CAF chipped paint, handwritten menu, the kind of place that smelled like fish and coffee. The manager, a woman named Dana, handed me an apron after a 5-minute chat. "Keep up, don't spill anything, and don't mouth off to the regulars," she said. "We'll get along fine." I'd never served tables before. Construction work, or jobs I could handle those. But slinging coffee to half-asleep fishermen was a new beast. I fumbled orders, burned my hand on the steamer, and dropped a tray my second day in. That's when I met Rachel. She worked the register fast-talking, sharp-eyed, not unkind, but definitely not the type to sugarcoat anything. "You're slow, new guy," she said after watching me fumble with a latte. I blinked. "At least I don't scare of the customers." She grinned, and something in me eased. That was our rhythm from then on: light jams, late night chats after closing, her tossing out tips on the city like breadcrumbs. "Don't walk past 9th Street after dark. Or if you want real food, not the fried junk we serve here, try Louis' truck down by the marina." I didn't talk much, but she never asked me to. The nights were the hardest. When the CF went quiet and I climbed the stairs to my tiny room, the weight returned. I'd sit on the edge of the bed, listening to the muffled thump of bass from the bar below, thinking about Emily, my youngest sibling, the only one who ever really asked me how I was. I'd hover over her number sometimes, thumb trembling above the screen, but I never pressed call. I couldn't. Not yet. Then one day, I passed a pawn shop on my walk home. In the window, a dusty old Canon camera caught my eye, a model I used in high school, back when I thought I might actually be someone one day. I walked in, paid cash, and left with the weight of something old but familiar in my hands. That night, I went down to the docks, pointed the lens at the crashing waves, and snapped a photo. It came out blurry, but it felt like breathing. Days bled into weeks, and I started to find a rhythm. Mornings at the CAF, evenings walking the docks with my camera slung over my shoulder. I still made mistakes, spilled drinks, burnt toast, but I got better. Dana stopped barking at me, and the regulars started calling me kid in a way that felt almost affectionate. Rachel had become something steady. She didn't push, didn't pry, just existed alongside me with quiet presence and dry humor. After a shift one evening, she caught me fiddling with the camera behind the counter. "Didn't peg you for the artsy type," she said, raising an eyebrow. I shrugged. "Didn't peg you for friendly." She laughed, an honest, surprising sound that warmed more than the coffee ever did. That night, I stayed out late, taking photos along the waterfront. Dockworkers hauling crates under harsh lamps, reflections in puddles, a seagull mid-flight. None of it was perfect, but it was mine. For once, I wasn't fixing something for someone else. I was simply seeing the world through my own lens. A week later, my phone buzzed. It was Emily. Just a single message. "Trip's a mess. No one knows what to do with the kids. They're fighting like crazy." I stared at the screen, picturing them all flailing in the absence of the glue I used to be. I didn't reply. But the guilt was there, coiled in my gut. Not because I missed them. I missed her. Emily was the only one who'd ever made space for me in that house. The next day, Rachel cornered me by the lockers. A friend of mine runs a photography workshop. You should go. Might get your head out of whatever it's stuck in. I hesitated, then said yes. The workshop was held in a converted warehouse with string lights and peeling paint. Paul, the instructor, had wiry hair and eyes that missed nothing. He flipped through my photos and stopped at one waves crashing against the rocks. "This one's got guts," he said. "Rough but real. Keep shooting." I did. That week, I submitted a few of my best shot stockworkers, waves, even a faded photo from my parents' anniversary that I kept despite myself to a small gallery exhibit Paul mentioned. I titled it Roots and Wings. It felt right, a nod to where I came from and what I was growing into. Then came the call. My dad, first time since I left. "Ben," he barked, like I was late for a chore. "Where the hell are you? The kids need watching. We're flying out tomorrow." I took a deep breath. "I'm not there anymore. I'm not doing this." He sputtered. Mom took the phone. "You were being selfish," she snapped. "After everything we've done for you." I laughed. "You mean everything I've done for you? I'm not your fixer anymore." I hung up. I felt like I'd burned a bridge, but standing there in my tiny room above the bar, camera in hand, I realized something important. I didn't regret it. That night at the exhibit, someone bought one of my prints. $50. My first real paycheck for something I'd created. Rachel grinned at me. "Told you." Outside, the city buzzed. The gallery lights spilled onto the street, and my phone vibrated again. "Emily, they're going to Hawaii without you. Feels weird." I smiled, typing back, "I'm good here." And I was. The docs were waiting. I woke up before the sun the next morning, the sound of seagulls echoing through the city. The world outside was still a gentle grey before dawn. I grabbed my camera, slung it over my shoulder, and made my way down to the waterfront. The air was cool, sharp with salt, and the waves crashed against the rocks with a kind of defiant rhythm. I set up my tripod, focused on a single wave cresting just before it broke. The shutter clicked, and I stood still, watching the moment pass. It wasn't peace, not exactly, but it was mine. I thought of that old photo from the anniversary, Dad's scowl, Mom's stiff smile, me half out of frame. It would always be a part of my story, but it no longer defined it. They were in Hawaii by now, or maybe still figuring things out. I didn't hate them. I didn't wish them harm. I just didn't belong in that version of our life anymore. I belonged here. This city, loud, raw, honest, had become something real. Rachel with her sarcasm and quiet support. Paul with his belief in my eye. The docs, the camera, the gallery walls. I wasn't running anymore. I was becoming. And if no one ever said thank you for all the years I gave away, that was fine. I'd found something better than gratitude. I'd found myself. Thanks for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, if you've ever walked away from something that broke you to build something of your own, drop a like and share your moment in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Life Stories so you never miss the next chapter. See you next time.